Our next panel coming to the forum right now, the International Cannabis Business Conference in Berlin 2025. We're going to discuss the changing world of genetics. And here to lead us off is the one only Bubba Nicholson, everybody. Bubba Nicholson.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a hell of a haircut. That was a bit of a mistake up there, but I'm going to roll with it. Wearing a hat today, we should be good.
Very hockey player haircut.
Yeah, I'd asked for. I went in and I asked for Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber what it would look like if he had a baby with Yolandi Visser, and that's what I got. Worked well. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this, hopefully, informational panel discussion here at ICBC Berlin. My name is Bubba Nicholson. I'm honored and delighted to be your moderator for this session today. Today, we're delving into a critical and rapidly evolving aspect of the cannabis industry, cannabis genetics. The genetic blueprint of the plant dictates everything from its cannabinoid and terpene profile to its growth characteristics, resilience, and ultimately, the quality, consistency, and commercialization of the final product. As the global market continues to expand and mature, understanding, preserving, and innovating cannabis genetics is more crucial than it's ever been. We're fortunate to have a panel of experts with diverse perspectives, as I found out yesterday, covering the entire life cycle of the plant's genetics. First to my left, we have Clint Young, and as founder of Charlie's Cannabis Co. and Charlie's Pineapple Reserve, Clint brings the essential perspective of a grower and distributor working directly with flower and hash and understanding the real-world implications of genetic choices on cultivation and on market demands. Next, we have Matt Doncarolis from Segra. Segra is a leader in tissue culture and genetics, exporting to over 16 countries currently. Matt can shed some light on the science of propagation, ensuring genetic stability at scale, and navigating the international genetics landscape. We also have Dave Auger from Big League Genetics. Dave represents the forefront of genetic exploration and development, focused on creating and stabilizing the traits that define the next generation of cannabis cultivars. And finally, Alex Gauthier from Origine Nature. Alex brings many valuable insights, focusing on how genetics intersect with unique demands of the current market segment, all while future casting to meet the needs of the natural evolution of the markets. Over the next half hour, we'll explore the challenges, innovations, and future trends in cannabis genetics. I encourage you all to think about your questions for the Q&A, and we'll be sure to leave 10 minutes at the end for that. With that, let's begin. Clint, let's start with you. And as a grower, maybe you can give us just a little bit of insight to kick off the panel on how important genetics are to you and what you look for when you're building a genetic catalog for commercialization.
Yeah, nice to meet you, everybody. For Charlie's Cannabis Co., genetics are extremely important because we're a very kind of craft-style cannabis, and we thrive for premium quality. Me being the founder and having two really good expert growers and hash rosin makers, it's extremely important that I give them the best genetics to work with. In this side of the market, I'm realizing quickly that, it's not always just about the hype genetic. There's a combination of things that come with it, yield, terpene profile, THC percentage, and that all has to come into play in the legal market. It never really had to in the gray market days, and it was something that I was getting used to. And then on the other side of our company, we specialize in hash rosin. And the hash rosin is a completely different type of plant when it grows. And what grows for flower doesn't always grow perfect for hash rosin. And that's kind of where Charlie's has to get into pheno hunting and selecting our genetics very, very carefully, because if you're choosing the wrong genetics for hash, they just don't produce the amount that you need. And then if you're not producing the proper cannabis flower on the indoor side that meets all the specs of the industry. Again, weight, terpene, and the hype genetic in play, it becomes very problematic. So it's something that I'm working and learning in, but pheno hunting is become one of Charlie's number one things, and what pheno you're choosing, because they're all so different. And I mean, one strain with 30 or 40 different phenos, they can all just be completely different. So it's a very, very important aspect to our company.
I think that's actually a great point. And for everybody in the room here, and maybe Dave, actually, you can shed a little bit of light on this, but Clint's mentioned phenos, and for anybody in the room who may not be familiar with the process, the term gets thrown around all the time, and we hear people talking about phenos, but I don't think that everybody has an understanding of the process, the amount of time that it takes, the complexity behind it. And are you looking at the amount of time it's going to take you to explain phenos to everybody? Can we do like the short version?
Oh yeah,
Okay, amazing.
Pheno hunting is my favorite part of the business, and it's also the most work. When we're looking for, a pheno to hunt, we're, starting with a strain, pop a pack of beans, and you're going to have 12, 24 seeds, 36 seeds of all the same, genetic, but they're all going to be very different. And what we're looking for is something that's going to be commercially viable. It costs you the same to run a room that yields 10 kilos as it does to get 20 kilos. And so you really want to make sure that you're, looking for something that's going to give the end result to the grower, that what they're trying to achieve. Potency is, the forefront of everybody's mind. And so if something's not performing from a potency and terpene perspective, bag appeal is something we're looking for. And at Big League, we have our nursery, and we also have 20,000 square feet of cultivation. And so we have to look at, the post-processing requirements. How susceptible is it to any type of microbial issues? How easy is it for our guys to trim? How quickly does it dry? How does the bud hold up in the bag when you're shipping it or storing it or sending it to any of your customers? And these are all, really important characteristics that, we're looking for when we're trying to select a new pheno that, at Big League we say is an all-star and, is ready to come out and play. So.
And how long does that process take? Is it just like if somebody bought a bag of seeds out here today, are they going to find that winner in there, or do you have to continue to grow it?
Seeds are a little bit like lottery tickets. It's a bit of a scratch 'em ticket. You might get a pack and find something great. You might get into 10 packs and find nothing. The timing that it takes it's almost a year. Because what we want to do is we'll run it once, take a look at it and see what we like, and if there's, if we think that there's something there, and we'll do a small population. From there, we'll run another small batch, probably 12 to 15 of the same plant. We'll run it through a full cycle again to see if we still like it. Then we'll run a table. A table for us is about 100 plants, and then if it's gone through those three, then we might do a full room. When you make a mistake with genetics, it's really expensive. If you grow it all out and you think it's going to be great and you end up with a lackluster result, that was a lot of money spent, a lot of time and effort to have a product that's now more difficult for you to sell, or it goes for extraction, or worse. And so it takes time to make sure that you're making the right selection. Sometimes guys have a new hype strain that, you think this is going to be great, but you get a third of the yield that you thought you were going to. It's not, you can't go to your customer and say, hey, I need to charge you twice as much for the flower because it didn't yield as much. And so that's a challenge for everybody. And so when we're pheno hunting, we're really looking for something that's going to be commercially viable.
That's amazing. And Matt, we hear the term a lot of clean genetics. And what does that even really mean? I mean, also to say, how could unclean genetics end up affecting a grower?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that we're a tissue culture, a genetics company, essentially glorified logistics. The reality is that an infected plant is going to be, cumbersome to your, economic balance sheet. It's really tough to kind of maintain that stock if you're not listening to the challenges that everybody we've learned from have had. Refreshing your mother plants on a regular cadence, like 3 months max. And avoiding that, and also just doing ongoing testing. I mean, we're tagged in with the molecular lab as well as an extensive research department, and the molecular lab tests our plants going out the door extensively. We also DNA fingerprint them as well.
So what are you testing for when you're testing those plants? Because we hear a lot of things about, tobacco mosaic or the viroid.
Exactly. Hop latent viroid is obviously the main one. We test for 8 other pathogens, viruses, and viroids, Fusarium, botrytis, to name a few. But really, we have a scientific department that's specifically looking on the next potential virus, viroid pathogen that's going to impact this crop. We're a growing industry and it's going to commercial scale, and we are going to find the next hop latent viroid and the next challenge to exist. And so we're constantly looking and developing assays to make sure that we're ahead of the time.
Is it possible to take, say, one of my favorite genetics that I love growing at home, but I'm having problems with botrytis or I'm having problems with PM? Is it possible to clean up that genetic so that I can actually continue to use it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a larger part of our business is taking in, third-party genetics, storing them, cleaning them, and servicing them back on a regular cadence. We've seen, actually, I know one of our friends in the audience here, he sent his Blue Lights 5 in, and he'd had that thing kicking around for 15 plus years, and he got it back, and I saw the plant that he remembered from 15 years prior, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing. And you mentioned DNA fingerprinting. So,
yeah.
So what does that actually even mean?
I mean, the reality is that this industry is growing. We work with breeders. We Sea Junkie and Green Shock Farms and Flavor House, to name a few, Grounded Genetics. I mean, we're entrusted with these prized possessions from these breeders, and we have to have the ability to track and trace them to protect their IP and make sure that people aren't just taking these genetics from people that have been pheno-hunting and spending tons of money on this process and developing this industry and just stealing them. So the DNA fingerprinting just looks at 12 markers. And furthermore, I mean, on the genetic distribution side, you go to flower sales and then consumer habits, implementing that DNA fingerprinting because we can test dry flower. You're getting a more secure supply chain. So the fingerprinting on the dry flower is done in Canada, and the export side, it gets done, boom, it's validated. This is the product. And then we're going to be able to have actual visible data in the marketplace from consumer habits in the UK and Germany and Australia, because everybody's going to be a little bit different. And then we can go macro on it and get different trends in different neighborhoods where dispensaries exist. And then the job of the pheno hunters and the breeders becomes a little bit more targeted, where we can go, hey, these are the ones that this group likes. Let's make more of those, right?
Yeah.
And then again, what Dave was saying is all the genetics we bring in, we make sure they're commercially viable. They have to hit that grams per square meter. They have to hit the numbers, and we don't offer just sell genetics. We give the playbook. So we'll come into the facility, we'll give full agronomy support, and dial you in with those genetics, because not every genetic's going to work in every system, and so it's a bit of a double playbook there.
I really enjoyed what Dave was saying earlier about taking it from commercialization backwards, looking at the way it's trimmed, looking at the way it's dried, and taking all those factors into consideration when you're phenoing was very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Alex, I mean, it's kind of a great segue, but how do you look at genetic selection in an ever-changing market, while still keeping your eyes on the future but servicing the present? Is there different criteria you're looking for medical than you are for recreational? And how do you even begin to plan the next phases?
So I say we're a commercial producer. We are not pheno hunters. We have experts on the panel that we trust to do that. Pheno hunting and choosing a genetic can make or break your business. At the end of the day, your genetic, your cultivar, is your botanical asset. It is what you're going to sell. It is your product that needs to be consistent. When we look at that, we don't try to reinvent ourselves as expert. Easily doing a pheno hunting per year could be a cost of about $200,000, just having the rooms, running it, the manpower that goes into it, all the analysis, right? And as Dave said, it is scratching lottery tickets. You could win, you could have special beans, but then even if you get the right beans, you need to ensure that you're growing them properly. So every single phenotype that you're going to be cracking out of those beans could have different fertigation needs, different climate needs, right? And by doing your run, you yourself could be basically putting out of competition a pheno that could be a perfect winner because you didn't have the right resources dedicated to them. So when we're going to look at phenos, we do come in very humble. We will be doing some pheno hunting, but we also rely heavily on the experts. There's so many risks that comes with it also. A seed can have the HLVD if you take it from the wrong breeder, right? So if you take just a seed and you get HLVD into your facility, well, you just shut your business down actively. Now, after that, we keep looking for the humble road for us, which is not trying to decide what the market wants, but work our way backwards from the consumers. So we will have a lot of organoleptic testing panels to try to understand which demographic we're selling to and what they actually like. What we like in Quebec or what we like in BC are two different things. Same thing for what we like in Quebec and what we like in Germany can be two very different things. Then where is that product going to be destined, and how do we ensure that what we grow is going to be representative of the final product that gets to an end consumer? So let's say the strain that we grew the most, Sage and Sour, has a lot of terpenoline. When you get it in Germany and you open the jar, you can still feel that terpene profile very present. It makes the product a lot more attractive. Also, it's a very uncommon profile. So we don't gear for what's the most popular. What's the most popular is going to be a race against time and against everybody on who can get it to the market and then who can switch to the new pheno. So establishing your plant asset based on who you're going to sell it to, and then ensuring you can grow it, because growing a phenotype properly can take 4, 5, 6, 7 runs sometimes. You're not you're not going to get it right on the first one, so you also need an investment to develop that. Sorry, it's been a long night last night. And so choosing, basically respecting, first off, the pheno hunters, respecting who you're going to sell it to, understanding the impact of how you're going to grow that strain, the risk that comes into it, and what you're investing to make sure that it lasts many years. So again, we have been in activities for 5 years. We grow 10 tons per year, and we only grow 3 strains at this point. For the last 5 years, 80% of our capacity has only been 1 strain. That has allowed us to own into our art and become profitable business. Why? Because our botanical asset has been properly selected from the get-go. We ensure it was clean. We ensure it fit our growing style. When you design a facility, not all strain will be good to grow in there. If you have 2-tier, 1-tier, if you're LED, if you're HPS, if you have a certain HVAC, your outdoor climate, how does it impact your indoor facility? If you're going greenhouse, if you're going full outdoor, you need to understand all those factors, because it's very, very easy to fall in the hole and then not come back from it, because all of this costs so much money. A full room, a full crop, a full field, you don't have time as a company to take that loss. So choosing carefully those cultivar and understanding also the end goal. Am I going to transform it? Am I going into, say, a medical area, and then I want to do a transition to recreational, are all going to be very important questions before you decide and you go see Dave and Matt and you tell them, listen, I'm going to Germany or I'm going only to Quebec. In Quebec, everybody likes the sour taste. I need big yield. I need it to be consistent. I need it to be resistant, and I need it to last for the last 5 years. They're going to be able to service that, and that's how you build the foundation of your business.
You speak about the, excuse me, the medical and the recreational markets, and sort of what differences are you seeing? Like, what is the life cycle of a strain in medical versus a life cycle of a strain in a recreational market?
Well, if we're going to be honest, right, for me, there's medical and there's pharmaceutical. There are, for every country that legalize, you see medical prescription going, but a lot of them go to cannabis enthusiasts who no longer want to be on the black market, right? And then there's the true pharmaceutical grade. If we speak in Canada, we have the veterans that are our true medical base. They like to have the same phenotype, the same cultivar time and time again. We keep hearing the complaint that I find something that I like and then it's no longer available a month or 2 months later because people are chasing the next pheno, actively also damaging their client base. Then when we talk about the medical patient, right? Like you get a prescription and you get product within 1 hour here. That's because you like cannabis. Well, how we're going to do that transition is either you get a cultivar that's very unique that not everybody has, or you're going to try to rotate every X amount of month to make sure that you cover all the different consumers you're targeting that are into it for more of a recreational field than the medical field.
And Dave?
Yeah, strains can help you establish your brand. Certain groups are known for certain things. Like, you know, Alex is known for Sage and Sour. We're working with Golden State Banana, who's known for banana terps and really, you know, that flavor profile. That can really help you identify yourself in a market. And, you know, there's a flood of new genetics all the time. Everybody's chasing a new hype strain. And like Alex said, your customers want to be your customer, and they want to. This is a trusted source. I get the product I want. It's how I want it to be, and they want to keep coming back to that. A lot of guys, I think, get kind of caught chasing after something, and you know, working with a unique genetic can really help you, you know, differentiate yourself in a market. There's a lot of flower out there, and you know, having something that's truly unique to your brand can kind of help, you know, customers find you.
Any thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, like we're shipping to, I think, 16 countries now. So having a diverse genetic catalog that's stable so that other groups can be unique in a market where everybody's exporting to is important. You know, finding the ones that work well for them in South Africa and Costa Rica and Colombia and, you know, all over the world, all the places that have cultivation set up, it's important. Also making sure that, you know, we're not oversupplying certain products, and you know, a lot of the products being imported, it's being renamed. It's challenging to decipher really what's in the marketplace and what people are really liking, unless, you know, you're the guy that's sending it and you realize what the name change was. You know, if we were able to keep a little bit more consistency in the products hitting the marketplace and having some definitive kind of data like DNA fingerprinting associated with it, you know, then the buyers and the consumers will have a lot more kind of confidence in the product that they're buying, because you can track it all the way from the plant down to the supply chain.
If you're buying BCP, you know you're getting BCP.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Clint, you've been down for a long time and seen markets change through Canada, but also across Europe, Asia, and things like that. Did you find it at all, as the market switched from medical into recreational, that it surprised you that we had created almost like a drop culture that we didn't necessarily have in the legacy market, where people were just every month looking for the new?
Well, yeah, just like Dave said and Alex had stated, you know, especially on the patient side, so Charlie's being medical and recreational, the consistency on the medical products is extremely important. Like, they want a consistent product that they trust. A lot of these people, especially veterans, they're struggling with very similar things. So they're looking for that consistent medication that works for them. And to rotate that out constantly could become problematic to your brand. But then on the flip side, for my company, on the recreational, you know, if it's going into recreational storefronts, the average consumer in Canada anyways, they seem to kind of like rotating and kind of what's new and, you know, what's coming next. So I have to play a fine line of where I float of you know, not over-rotating the genetics, and then also ensuring that the medical side of the business has a consistency of, like Alex said, he's got 3 genetics and one is 80% of his of his whole year. That's exactly what I would have to do on the medical side as well. And then on the recreational side, I mean, you kind of have to keep up with the trends without compromising the weight, the terpenes, the THC, like I said in the beginning. So.
And it's tough because how far out, David and Alex, I suppose, how far out are you guys planning for commercialization when it comes to things? Like, you can't just switch a strain. So if next week is like, okay, 2 months from now, we need to get this new in, how do you cope with that?
It's about a year. Like we're kind of planned. We've got our schedule kind of locked in for the next year. We've got a pheno hunt going on right now in one of our rooms. That'll be, 40 new scratch 'em tickets are currently being worked on, and that'll be our hunting for the year. We'll be kind of done with that one, and then we've got our commercial, our rooms, the 30 lights each, and we're just going to run the play, and then we'll put it into the next schedule that, okay, these ones have kind of gone. We've got a great buying cycle on those, and our customers also will help dictate that. But yeah, we're about a year in scheduling ahead for planning genetics.
Alex, for you?
So currently, I'm definitely not far enough. My CEO tells me often. So in the perfect world, we would be 2 to 5 years in advance. So when you're not chasing the new, as we say, and you're actually gearing on genetic that you base on market data, and market data also includes the price. You can have something amazing, but if you release it at 15 euros per gram versus 7 euros per gram, suddenly it's garbage, right? Price is very, very important. So being able to understand, first off, that your product is unique, that it ticks all the boxes, that the segment in which you want to release it, so you understand the yields you're going to have, you understand the operational costs behind processing it, and then that the segment that it would be designated to because of that operational cost has openings. So you don't want to force a product through. You want to have enough selection in your bank that when there's an opening on the market, you have right away something to fit it in and not just guess or scramble last minute. And that's why I'm saying 2 to 5 years. You could have something that you need to wait 5 years for an opening in the segment to release it properly and meet the success you want.
That's amazing. And, while we still have a few minutes left here, I'll just open up the floor if anybody had any questions at all.
I'm sure some people do. Let's hear it from the panel. My man Lauren.
Sorry, here's the first one. First question is here.
First and foremost, thank you. Being a 30-year pheno hunter and legacy grower up in Mendocino, my question for the panel is this: we love the plant outside in the ground and with the terroir, right? What do you see as the barriers to entry for folks like us, the legacy farmers, who have these genetics that have been developed that are unique and amazing with incredible terpenes and entourage effect, and bringing these to greenhouse and indoor? What are you seeing are the barriers here for us to be able to be on the shelves year round, and also to provide this type of medicine to the consumer, both in the States and worldwide? And what do you see as those barriers of us taking this outdoor plant and bringing it into the greenhouse and indoor to see if it's going to express the same way and be commercially viable?
Yeah. I mean, it's Lauren, it's a great question. Having an outdoor farm myself for a number of years and growing a number of different phenos outdoors, we've noticed that bringing them into greenhouses, especially unsophisticated greenhouses and some of the newer builds, it's worked well. And then even some of the outdoor plants that we're bringing right inside are smashing. We did some autos inside, and the grams per plant, I think, was like 500 grams per plant. Auto flower, it's ridiculous. So, it's really just, developing those stable, consistent genetics. Once the stability is there, it's running them through the paces and making sure they're characterized properly, and seeing which ones work and which ones don't. But typically the outdoor plants that smash will do really well in greenhouse.
Dave?
Yeah, the data, like just making sure you get as much data if you're trying to bring a genetic into the market and it's done really well for you outside. Getting that data to the growers that are growing in greenhouses and growing indoors to give them as much information as they can on the front. You still got to test it. You still got to run it and see how it's going to perform in an indoor environment. But yeah, data is the data collection's everything. Yeah, sure.
I would say it's the human factor also. So finding the right team, there's probably, as a breeder, you have a value for your strains, then finding the right people that either are going to agree with that value or give you the support to test it and listen to you while they're growing it is most likely the biggest issue. That's where we see a lot of, fights between people to some extent. So looking for the right team, looking for the right people that understand. Like you have two great people here on this panel that are always looking, I think, for new resources. But that's going to be really what makes the difference is finding the right set of humans to work with.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I hope you don't consider us too unfair, but I also have a question from the German point of view here. Because in Germany we only have companies who grow, two companies growing cannabis, which are not so interesting for the seed business. But ever since last year, we have clubs who are allowed to be in the seed business. We are allowed to grow 3 plants. Most people want seeds, but we're only allowed to import from other EU countries. And is there any chance for German consumers or for German clubs to get your great strains from Canada?
Just come find me. I got.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's coming soon. Exports are unique every time you're doing them, but because it's a federal program in Germany, I can see that there's going to be opportunity for that coming. We've got a bunch of genetics here in Germany already, working with Demican, and I know Matt sent to 16 different countries. Yep. So yeah, we're doing our best to get genetics all over the world.
Yeah, especially into the different marketplaces is a little bit more challenging, but working with good partners in Switzerland, it helps. It will help out your guys' problem that you're trying to solve right now.
Yeah, I have a good question here. Can I go ahead? Alex, I think you mentioned that some of your focus is on regional tastes and preferences. My question relates more to product focus. I'm hearing most of what your work is based on the panel here today is producing a good quality flower. I do rosin production and often see beautiful flowers that can go into flower market but don't wash well. So interested in knowing if you're also starting to look at varieties or strains that will wash into a rosin market.
So absolutely. There's a huge demand for anything that's concentrate, whether it's rosin, whether it's hash, etc. I do believe, though, that most concentrate in the future will come from outdoor and then process for extraction. When you're processing for extraction, I think it's going to be a numbers game. You want big fields, you want the big equipment to basically get the lowest cost of extraction to give the best product at the lowest price possible. Hunting after directly for rosin is not my forte. Unfortunately, in Quebec, we have a limit on high potency, so we're supposed to do rosin at 30% THC, which is a problem in itself. So no, our focus has not been there. When we say we respect expertise, extraction is one of them also. We're primarily a flower grower, and we do flower pre-roll and some hash. Everything that's rosin is on the roadmap, but we're more looking towards outdoor production for that.
And Dave, you do hunt for dumpers, don't you?
Yeah, we hunt for dumpers. We've got
Get the shovel.
We got hash extraction equipment.
I'm sorry.
Done that.
Did you say hunt for dumpers?
We hunt for
Okay.
dumpers.
some of us, English is a second language. Maybe you can explain what that means?
A dumper
Dumper's
is,
a good. Dumper is a big yield, whether it's for hash rosin and/or if it's yielding
okay.
indoor flower. You want it to be a big dumper. You want a big, massive.
Because some people think it's a booty.
It's not a doo-doo.
It's not a booty. It's not a booty hunt. It's a pheno hunt. All right. A hunt for dumper. All right.
And that is unfortunately right now all the time we have for questions. However, one more quick one with Dave.
I hope I formulate the question right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Whether you can do it or not, we'll talk about later. But what would be the time frame if I was giving you some certain constraints? How long do you need to cycle these generations through to get some stabilization in a brand new one? Let's just start. How quick can you guys do it?
I'll leave that with Segra and Big League.
Yeah, so I mean, we work directly with the breeders that have already done all that work. They send us their best work. We get it into tissue culture, and to commercialize it, basically 90 days. Once we've harvested the meristems and got it out, grown it up, we can get plants back that quickly. Oh.
yeah, if you're just starting with seeds, I mean, 9 months. Yeah, like 9 months for sure, because we've got to run them. Like Matt said, we'll get them into tissue culture, so we've got them backed up, so we're not, tripping over a whole bunch of clones. And then we'll run them in a small population. I mean, if you were hiring me to do it, I mean, I could go over multiple rooms, and we could probably condense the time. But yeah, you're going to want to get a few good runs and full cycle on them in order to get that data. So, I would say by the time you've popped the seed, get it grown up, that you can start taking clones off of it, and then run it a few times. Yeah, it's probably close to 9 months.
And we're up for time right now, but we are all going to head down to booth 521, which is just down in the hall that you came up through, down at the very back. It's Dave's booth over at Big League. So Thank you very much for taking the time today and listening, and hopefully we see you all at the booth if you have questions.
All right, we're breaking for lunch. We'll be back here at 1:30.